But yeah, it was growing up. And it's also very interesting because the dynamic between Chelsea and I had several men, specifically from the South, address me in a manner of saying that our household we should have your wife in that conversation too. Yeah, because people like there's a lot of these older guys that when they ask me about things, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to talk to my wife about this. It's all about this. And I think that this is something that I feel like with us being a team, we need to talk. And they're like, you don't make your decision. You need your wife to tell you something. Yeah, it's like, where are you from? Right. That's the next thing they say. Yeah, because where are you from? Oh my goodness. It's like I get the whole deal of it, but I did lock the door, so can you lock it back? Yeah, but that's because, and part of it is because you don't grow up here, and so it's not ingrained in you what they're talking about. But yeah, that's absolutely a thing. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to have this conversation. All right. I hope you have a good rest of your day. You too. Enjoyed our brief conversation. I think it's going to be good today. I think it's going to be good today. I'll be listening. Oh, great. Is that, okay, this is, you ready? All right, you can leave it open. Mm-hmm. Everything's out in the open. Oh, the doors, baby. Now everything's out in the open. There's nothing left to hide.
Yes, you can tell by the song that Denise, the Reverend Doctor, you can call me Denise, is in the house today for the workplace, sitting in for Toney, who is still out of the country doing what he does, helping the people do what they do, getting them what they need, all of what is entailed in his job as a labor union organizer. And so he has entrusted me with the control seat today. So I'm so glad that you have stopped by for the workplace right here at KABF 88.3, where we are the voice of the people. It is in the spirit of gratitude that I greet you this morning. That spirit that says we realize and we recognize that if it were not for you, all of the ways that you show up for us, all of the things that you do for us, all of the ways that you clap back on us, all of the ways that you challenge us, all of the ways that you give to us, all of the ways that you show up for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Couldn't thank you enough. Reminds me of what we used to say in the church. If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't thank you enough for all of what you do. And it's also in that spirit of Salbona, that spirit of oneness that binds us together through our humanity, that I invite you into this space. All of the voices are welcome in this space. All of the opinions, all of the perceptions are welcome in this space. And I do want to say that I'm saying that, but the phone lines are still not open. Something is happening with the phone. I am not sure what, but I've been thinking and thinking and thinking about a workaround. And I may have found one, but I need somebody out there to help me. Somebody who does not mind having their voice on the air, because I need you to call me and actually talk to me so that I can see if because if you call me, just like I was able to play the music through the phone, I'm thinking that I can play your voice through the phone. So if you call me on the phone, I'm gonna patch you into the equipment and see if we can't hear you. So if you're willing to test this out for me, the area code is 228-236-7440. That's my number, 228-236-7440. This time I am answering the phone. Tuesday I could not answer the phone while I was playing the music because the music was being played through my phone. But now I've got my iPad. That's what I'm on. So the phone is free. So area code 228-236-7440. If you don't mind testing this out for me, I want to see if I can hear your voice on the radio, and that would then be the phone lines open for you because I really want to hear what you have to say. So I want to also give a shout out to those of you who call me after the show. You call me and you give commentary on the show. You tell me what you thought about it. You tell me what you liked about it. You tell me what you didn't like about it. You ask a question. You ask me, why didn't I ask this question? Or maybe you should ask this question. Will you ask this question? Like, all of you keep me on my toes, and all of you. And so I shout out to you for calling me. Shout out to you for sending me text messages. Shout out to you for those who are listening. And I don't know until some external factor happens in our lives. This happened a few Saturdays ago. So I was at my friend Tommy's house. I'm at Tommy's house and we're just talking. And he had people in his home. And I didn't know all of the people that were in his home. I didn't know that. So I'm talking to him, just talking. All of a sudden, this other man comes out of the kitchen and he's been cooking. I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know who this is. And so Tommy introduces us and he goes back into the kitchen. So Tommy and I are just talking. We're also watching a DJ on the screen. That's what they had on when I walked in. And so the guy finally finishes cooking. He's coming to ask us if we are ready to eat. And so he sits down and he looks at me and he says, don't I know you? Have I met you before? And I said, no, you haven't met me before. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty good with faces. So no, you've never met me before. And it's really niggling at him, like, what? And so he goes back in the kitchen, brings us something to eat. So we're just talking about the DJ. We're talking about DJs. And this is pertinent to the conversation. This is why I'm telling the story. We were watching a woman at first. We were watching her and listening to her music. She was jamming too. And then they switched to a man. And then we decided to compare the aesthetics. We weren't comparing the music. Well, they wanted to compare the music, but I'm like, let's talk about the aesthetics. So we started comparing men to women and talking about the difference in how much women have to do to command a space as opposed to how little men have to do to command that same space. And so that's what I want the conversation to be about. And again, it's pertinent to our conversation today. And so Tommy, the other guy was kind of like, too. He was like, I don't know if he asked me, what do I know? Or how do I know? Or what makes me think? I don't know what he said, but Tommy said, she on the radio, right? He was like, oh my God, that's it. That's it. I've never met your face before, but I have met your voice. He said, I know who you are now. I thought that was the cutest thing. He said, I've never met your face, but I have met your voice. And then now here's the kicker. He said, yeah, I put you on for my mama. He didn't say I listened to you. He said I put you on for my mama. And so those of you, just like Mr. Jacob that night at the fundraiser, that walk up to me and say, I see you on Facebook. I know who you are. Like, all of that matters because we don't always know who's listening. There's no way I can know who's listening. There's no way I can know whether you have the radio on unless you let me know. So I appreciate all of those ways that you help us. And because of those kinds of conversations, it helps me flesh out the topics. And so we started on Tuesday. Yeah, this conversation started on Tuesday. Got a call yesterday that asked me to highlight one of the topics that I talked about on yesterday. And it's about the emasculation of Black men at the hands of Black women. And so that's what we're going to talk about, which is why I felt like it was pertinent for me to say we're comparing what a woman has to do as opposed to what a man has to do in this same space of being a DJ. That was part of the conversation that's also informing this discussion on today. So Hotep is in the house. Yes, I see you. You ain't been here for a minute. You okay? Wishing all of us life, prosperity, and health. And of course, he uses the words, the tribal words, Ankh, Job, and Senib for us to know life, prosperity, and health. So glad you're in the space today, Lo. So I want to make sure that I level set. That's what we call it when we say, okay, there are people in the room using the same words, but with a different understanding of the denotation. And the denotation is different from the connotation. Denotation meaning if I look it up in the dictionary, this is what it will say. But if I live it in the world, this is what it means. Okay, so what the dictionary says the word means is not the way we experience the world as we interact together, human to human. So that's a connotation. The denotation is just give me the words. Okay, so Lo says just had some doctor's appointment and it's, all is okay. I hear you saying all is okay, but I also know you. Are you listening to the doctors or are you telling the doctors? So I'm glad that everything is okay. I'm glad you said that. Because I was going to look, I was counting the days. I said, if I don't see him in the next couple of days, I will find you. Just like I'm looking for that man to be calling in. So I want us to ground this in the song. Oh my goodness. I believe in serendipity, first of all, that the universe is acting on our behalf in ways that we don't know. And it all comes together at the appointed time. It's like, oh my goodness. And that's what I feel like has happened because I'm really not like a blues or jazz fan, to be honest. Wait, I left my water. I'm not a blues or a jazz fan necessarily, but I grew up with the blues. My dad loved the blues. So I grew up with the blues. And I've been around my uncle now. Oh my goodness, they love jazz. My daddy is the oldest of 12. So some of them love jazz, some of them love blues. And then we all get together, got to hear both of them. And so I just love that. We were having this conversation and I ran into, I was reading a book, All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she said something about, and now it's in the open. And I said, in the open? Oh, it's a song about that. And we're going to talk about that because Tuesday's show was about us needing to put things on the table. Like, what is it that we are not talking about that absolutely needs to be discussed? So then she says, yes, she said, it's in the open. And then I'm like, oh, I know a song. So I want us to think about what Johnny Taylor has said to us as a way to level set this conversation so you'll know exactly where I'm coming from. So when you have something to say, if you have something to say, then you'll know where the context in which what I'm saying is so that you can challenge me from your context. And that's absolutely okay. I love that. I'm here for that. But Johnny Taylor starts out this song. Well, first of all, let me just say, he's talking about his lover. He's talking about a woman. This is a cisgender heterosexual relationship between Johnny Taylor and the woman he's married to. And he realizes at some point that there's something not quite right in the relationship. He begins to see a shift in the way she moves with him. And that signals to him that something must be wrong, because this is not the way you used to handle me. This is not the way you used to talk to me. This is not the way you used to touch me. So something's going on. So he was already feeling it in his mind that, hey, what's up? And then finally they have a conversation about it, because he said, we started out in the court, before God. We made these vows before God, because that's how you do. You get married, you go to the church. Most people, the majority of people, especially if you are following respectability politics, you feel like you've got to get married in the church. But if you want to get a divorce, you go to the courthouse with it. And I got all kinds of thoughts about that, but we can talk about that on another day. And so he says, okay, we said these vows before God, but now we're getting a divorce before the judge. And then he goes on and say, before I can even deliver the papers, he's talking about the divorce papers, before I can even deliver the divorce papers to you to let you know it's been finalized, you already done started up with somebody else. So that means that you were already with this man. So look, okay, well now everything's out in the open. Now I know why you were doing. Okay, now I see it. And so he's talking about that relationship that he has had with his wife, and says, well, now there's nothing left to hide. And really, at this point for him, we can just go our separate ways. Well, he could go stalker on her, but I hope he didn't. Like, this is a song, so I don't know how the rest of the song would play out if they had more verses. But he goes on. So that's what the song is about, according to Johnny Taylor, talking about his experience with his wife. And I don't know if this is his real wife. It's a song, so we can it's art. So I'm not saying that this is his real wife. I have no idea about that. I'm just talking about what happens in the song. But I want to lift up the words out of the context of this song and his relationship with this wife, and talk about how it relates to us as Black men and Black women. And when we have this conversation, it's not just about Black men and Black women, it's about women and men in general, because we are all suffering from the systems of patriarchy and sexism and genderism. But the conversation that I started on Tuesday is about particularly focusing on the emasculation of Black men at the hands of Black women. And so that's where we are. And so I want to lift up some of the words and get us on the same page, get you on the page with me. So the very beginning of the song, the very first line, Johnny Taylor says, once upon a time we were a unit. And all of the conversations that I have when I'm sitting at the feet of my elders, whether they're my family, whether they're my friends, whether they are even a person I just met, because I really don't meet strangers, when they talk about how they grew up in a segregated time, there's something about their experience that is captivating to me, that is fascinating to me, that I wish I could experience now. And it is that experience of living communally, even though they were forced to live as one because the systems of whiteness would not embrace them and intentionally refused to accept them into all areas of life that they deserved to be honored and cherished and embraced and celebrated in. They were forced to do it, but in the forcing of it, there was beauty. I was talking to a friend of mine, who was, I can't remember who it was, but they said, she was saying that, I think it was Val, and she was talking about how when she watches these movies, all of these movies that take us back to the times of enslavement, all of these movies where Black people are being dehumanized, it makes her feel some kind of way, and it makes her feel like, is this all we were? Like, I mean, all we did was get beat. Like, all we did was get raped and slaughtered and all. She's like, it just makes me like, after I get through watching this stuff, I'm mad and I want to go beat somebody up. And I'm like, and I said, well, let's just pause for a moment and think about it. That's all they show us. They do not show us the beauty of the relationship that was happening between Black people in their families and with each other, in spite of all of the trauma that they don't want you to know about that. They don't want you to revel in that. They want you to feel humiliated as a Black person. And some of us have fallen prey to that. I'm humiliated when I think about what happened to my people. I'm mad because I feel like if I had been there, I bet you they wouldn't have done that. You would have been slapped and done the same way, because psychological trauma is real. And so we talked about the need for us to stop believing that some of us just need to turn the doggone TV off and stop listening to this rap music or this R&B or whatever this is that's the common stuff that we listen to, and go back to the consciousness of things when we really have real conversation through rap. Because there is a kind of rap that you can listen to that is conscious. And so he said we were a unit. So when they talk about the time, when I think about the times, especially the civil rights movement during the 60s, when none of us could vote, none of us could sit at the front of the bus, none of us had employment that was sustainable so that we could grow our families, like none of us. So we were in the same boat. So when he says once upon a time we were a unit, I think back to that time. And sometimes I wish it was still like that. Not that we can't vote or any of those things, but that we still understood the power of Black community, even now when we have all of these other, we have access to all of these other systems, all of these other ways of being and living and doing and breathing. I wish we still had that same common bond that said, because you are Black, this is your experience. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. And let's figure out how we're going to navigate it together. Because we can't do it alone. See, now because we don't have that communal experience, that bond of Blackness, we feel like, girl, that's them over there. I'm over here. Me and my, who was that? I think that was Tony's wife one day. She was on the phone. She was on the radio. I think I was sitting in for the health corner. And she said, I was once on the bottom and now I'm on the top. And I was like, what, top or what? So we didn't have, and that always happens because that was my question. And then we were out of time. But a lot of people feel, and I'm like, I'm not saying you're not on the top. I'm just help me understand. So even if you consider yourself on the top and we're looking at people, and I know I used to do it. Let me just confess. I used to see a Black man walking down the street with his pants sagging. He got a hole up the crotch with his, I'm like, what? That's why, and I would say this out loud in the car. I wouldn't say it out loud to him, but I would say it out loud in my car. That's what's wrong with us. That's why you making me look bad. You hit. That's why I can't prosper. That's what I would say. So I'm judging this bond of Blackness that should be binding us together, not even thinking about systems, not even thinking about circumstances, not even thinking about discriminate, not even thinking about any of that, just believing the narrative, living the lie, and not being held accountable because there was nobody in my circle to call me out because we all felt the same way. And so if we could just get back to that, again, just that bond of Blackness that says you can't do nothing without me and I can't do nothing without you. My freedom is entangled in yours. Your freedom is entangled in mine. And until we understand that we are both at war against the same system, we are going to continue to go in circles like a rat on a wheel, getting nowhere. So here's what Lo says. From a historical context, if you don't know where you have been, that's in the past, then you don't know where you are and where you are going. If you don't know where you have been, that's in the past, then you don't know where you are and where you're going. Exactly, which brings me to the next thing that Johnny Taylor says. He says, I thought we had a Garden of Eden. I'm just going to stop right there for a moment. He said, I thought we had a Garden of Eden. So when you think about the Garden of Eden as it is portrayed in the book that we call the Bible, that some of you hold sacred and some of us understand as a tool, a reference tool for our lives. The Garden of Eden was this place that was created just for Adam. So God breathes breath into this man, into the sand, into this being, to this mass of sand, and then it becomes light. It becomes life. Oh, one day we should talk about the Sistine Chapel and the creation up there, and talk about those fingers that we see on those pictures. Anyway, he said so. Johnny Taylor's like, he's thinking about the relationship. I thought we had paradise. I thought we had carved out this space that was just for us, where we had everything that we need, every resource we could find together in this space that belongs to us. This is where our peace is. This is where our healing is. This is where our growth is. This is where our loving is. This is where our creating is. I thought that's what we had. So the Garden of Eden is that space that first belonged to Adam. Adam was put in that space by himself. He was put in that space where he was supposed to recognize that this is paradise, and you will have this is yours. It's all yours. I have done this for you, says the Bible's God to Adam. And so that's what Johnny Taylor calls to our mind now. And then he says, and we did before he came along. So he says, I thought we had a Garden of Eden. So I stopped right there to describe the Garden of Eden. And then he said, and we did before he came along. And I circled he to say, who would he be for us today? Not talking about your partner, your marital partner, not talking about your lover, your spouse, your gender non-conforming relationship, not talking about that. Talking about we were unified as Black folks before we had integration. That would be the he for me today in this conversation, the he. Now, please do not misunderstand me. I am not judging Dr. King and the crew about about fighting this campaign for integration. I am not judging that at all. I think it was a brilliant idea and I think it worked. I just think those of us who came along corrupted it because we misunderstood it. He was saying integration means that we ought to be able to live in this society and have access to the same resources as everybody else. If the school over there got these resources, then my school over here should have these resources. If you can go to that restaurant, I should be able to go to that restaurant, and I should be able to eat the same quality of food over there as over here. That was what integration meant on its face. But we came along and we were like, oh, so if I can go to school with them, then that's where we need to be. We need to go to school with the whites. We need to eat with the whites. And so it got corrupted. And so it's the corruption of integration that I'm talking about, where Johnny Taylor says we did have paradise until he came, until we corrupted the mission. Because evidently some of us, it wasn't written. What does the Bible say? Write the vision, make it plain so that those that hear, so we can run with it. And when we were given, when somebody passed us the torch of integration, some kind of way, something was lost in translation. So before that happened, he says, before the fruits in the midst of the garden became the fruits that turned you on. So before integration made you think, corrupted integration made you think that white was right. Before you started thinking that whatever they have, that's what I want. Whatever they have is better than mine. Whatever they have, I'll pay top dollar for theirs, but then I want you to cut me a discount over here if you look like me. Whatever that is that you're chasing, the car, the house, the value from the social invitation, whatever that is that you're chasing because you believe it's better over there, you started desiring that. And you lost sight of what we were building right here in our home. And it then corrupted us. This is what Johnny Taylor is saying to us through this song. Everything's out. Let's just be real about it, Johnny. Let's stop pretending. That's what he said. Look, let's stop pretending that we still love each other the way that we used to, because that's not what's happening. We have been infiltrated by a system that does not love us. As a matter of fact, it continues to drive a wedge between us, because some of us are looking so hard over there that you're missing what's right here. He goes on to say, just like Adam, you were my Eve. So he positions himself as Adam. I was given this vision. This is mine as the man. These are the instructions that I was given before you were even created for me. So the man had a responsibility, according to Johnny Taylor's understanding of the story of Adam and Eve, which many of us hold the same interpretation. Because I am the man, I was entrusted with the instructions to make sure that everything went according to God's plan. That's my responsibility. And if it doesn't, I'm the one who should be held accountable, because I'm the one who was made first and given paradise. Eve was not even created when paradise was. Okay, let's make sure we're clear about that. And then he goes on to say, just like that old story, still referring to Adam and Eve, once again, you've been deceived. So Johnny Taylor says the same thing that patriarchy and sexism says to us. It's the woman's fault. That's what the Bible says. When God came looking for Adam, like, what's going on? Adam was like, it wasn't me, sir. Mr. Good, sir. It was not me. It was that woman that you gave me. And on this interpretation, we have built patriarchy. We have built sexism. We have built genderism, which is now ingrained in the DNA, not just of our country, not just in the soil that we walk on, not just in the blood of our ancestors that still runs warm under the soil that we walk on, but even now in our internalization of this lie that is in the Bible that we believe even now, because it could not possibly have been Eve's fault that Adam ate from the apple. It could not be. It is not possible that Eve is the one who was deceived, because when Adam was given the instructions, Eve was not even there. She is not the one to be held accountable and responsible for what God told the man he is supposed to do. This is your responsibility. I made paradise for you. And I gave you the instructions. Do not eat from here. Do not do this. Here, you can have this. These were your instructions. And then you, man, this is according to my interpretation. This is Denise's way of interpreting this. And God looked at him and said, you know what? When I think about my own self, if you believe in the Trinity, or even if you believe in the counsel of gods, the God says, you know, I don't even move like this where I'm by myself. I show up in different, I show up incarnate through Jesus. I show up in spirit through Sophia. I show up as God in your presence, because you can feel me when you feel the tingling on your arm, when you feel the hair raise up on in the back of your neck. That's me. You feel I show up in different ways because I'm communing with myself in different ways. So you need somebody with whom to commune. So I'm not gonna let you stay out here by yourself. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna make for you. I'm gonna create for you. Out of you, I'm gonna use you to create you. Because all God did was diversify the human. God did not create hierarchy. God says, I'm going to if you want to know what diversity looks like, both of you are my image. Both of you are my expression. Both of you are divine, but you look different because one of you looks like what we call male and the other one of you looks like what we call female. God has said, that's what we call it. But here we are, both of you now together in paradise. So Adam got the instructions first. Eve did not get them. Here's another thing that we miss. When it is time, when Satan, the snake, this is what we call the snake, Satan, when Satan does finally approach Eve and begins to have conversation with her and offers her the fruit. We say the fruit is an apple. I don't know where the apple came from. The fruit is not named, so we just came up with apple. But if we wanted to be more accurate, it would have been a pomegranate. But anyway. So here we have the snake, the serpent, talking to Eve and having this conversation and this dialogue. And he said, you can't even touch the tree. Now, God didn't say you couldn't touch the tree. God said you couldn't eat from the tree. But God, no, how does Eve even know? She don't know. The instructions were given before she was created. What she does know is that I ain't scared of no snake. What she does know is can't no snake tell me about my God. What she does know is you're not going to make me think that I don't have privilege in this space that I was created for. How dare you come to me and act like you know me? The same way, the same posture that Eve has is the posture that we should have, especially as Black folk. How you going to come tell me something about the country that I built? How you going to come tell me about what I'm supposed to look like, what I'm supposed to, who I'm supposed to love, who I'm not supposed to love, who I'm supposed to bow down to? How dare you come into my paradise and then render me incompetent? Talking about I don't know what I'm talking about. How dare you? So Eve, if anything, shows us how bold, and since we call her woman, how bold women are. And some of y'all got a problem with Black women today because we dare to still be bold. And I'm talking about any race. I'm talking about any, and I'm talking about any gender, because some women are just as hard on women as men are. But because y'all say that about, and I know you say it because you say it to me all the time. Oh, she harsh. Oh, she aggressive. In the last 3 weeks, I've been called too aggressive, too harsh. And what was the other word? I can't remember the other word. I'm like, you know what? and this is what I said, you know what? Mean and hateful, too harsh and too aggressive. And I said, you know what? I am all of those things, because what I have come to realize about this country is that what that really translates to is that you tell the truth. That's what that means. Anybody who is not afraid to tell you the truth directly to your face, I don't need Google, I don't need no social media, I can come and step right to you and say it, then that's what you call harsh, because you don't want to handle it. What's the movie say? You can't handle the truth. So Eve is our pattern for what it means to be bold as a woman and say, I ain't never scared. And so that's how she is with the serpent. The serpent offers her the fruit, and she decides that she's going to eat it. Because remember, she does not have the vision. But here's what we miss. So that's what you miss about Eve, the pattern that the path that she paves for us as women. Though we've been called, now that we've been called women, as women, to be unafraid in the face of anybody except God. The other part that we miss about Adam is that when Eve was tempted by the snake to eat of the fruit, Adam was standing right beside her. He is the one who had the vision, because God gave it to him. And he did nothing when Eve had the fruit in her hand. Now, to me, I would have thought that if you are in relationship with this God that you had before anybody, y'all, I'm talking about y'all ride or die, y'all solid. He created you first. Y'all were able to commune before anybody else was. Imagine that relationship. You had God all to yourself, paradise all to yourself before anybody else. You was walking and talking and laughing and giggling. Y'all was throwing it, y'all chopping it up, you and God. And God gives you this vision. And you know that if you eat this fruit, that it's going to mess up what you have with God. It seems to me that Adam would have knocked that fruit out of her hand. Girl, let me tell you, like my grandmama, my granddaddy, he used to call my grandmama woman. Come here, woman. Why didn't Adam say, wait a minute, woman. Don't eat that. Okay. But even if Eve ate it by herself, she still would not have been held as responsible, because the vision was not given to her. But Adam stood right there and ain't saying nothing. Not only did he not say anything, he partook of it. He said, okay. So he had free will to make a choice to not do what he knows he shouldn't do, and to instruct his partner not to do it, because he knows what the ramifications are. And he chose not only not to say anything, not only not to prevent it, but also to involve himself in it. So he chose to involve himself in what Eve offered to him. And yet when God calls him on the carpet, he's like, it's her fault. And here is the beginning of our problem between men and women, even today, especially Black men and Black women, because the woman, even today, the Black woman is saying, stop trying to hold me accountable for something you freely participated in. And the Black man is saying, well, you brought me this stuff, and because I want you, because you're my partner, because I love you, I want to be with you, so that's why. And we continue to see that unfold. Let me get these comments in before I keep going. So Lo says, this is the foundation of the Willie Lynch syndrome, which is alive and well today, to highlight and inflict the differences between Black men and Black women, and the differences among men and women in general. This is the foundation of the Willie Lynch syndrome, which is alive and well today, to highlight and inflict the differences between Black men and Black women, and the differences among men and women. But here's the thing. It ain't no differences between men and women. Both of us. And again, I'm using men and women, but please know that in my mind, that is inclusive of everybody who identifies as men. I don't care if it's through a trans experience. It does not matter to me if you are gender non-conforming. It doesn't matter to me if you're polyamorous. It does not matter. All of us, because this world forces us to speak in the binary. I'm just living into that forcefulness right now so that I can try to keep the conversation as clean as possible. But please know that when I say men and women, I'm talking about the most expansive definition of those terms, both denotatively and connotatively. So all of us, creation was created as one. We are all divine expressions of the same God. So if you call me woman and I'm created by the same God, then that God is also woman. If you call somebody a man and it was created by this God, then this man is also. So all of these genders, all of these ways of being, all of these ways of showing up in the world, all of them are rooted in God. So it ain't no difference. It's the world that creates the difference. It's us. It's patriarchy, it's sexism, it's genderism. And you know, of course, we can talk about racism. We can talk about other, but right now, those three systems at work intersecting, that's where our problem lies. Oh, Takia's on the line. Takia, I got to tell you what I thought about when I was walking up here today. I thought about you. I'm going to tell you. Takia says, I was told I was aggressive because I said, now that we're all in the room, tell her what I said, but do it in front of me. So because I removed all confusion in relaying messages and made sure we all walked away with clarity, I'm aggressive. Interesting. Wait a minute. Look, because this happens to me too. I was told I was aggressive because I said, now that we're all in the room, tell her what I said, but do it in front of me. So because I removed all confusion in relaying messages and made sure we all walked away with clarity, I'm aggressive. That's interesting. Yes. If you want to get to the bottom of something, just put all the parties in the room. Say that all the time. I just extended the invitation. Low on here. I just extended the invitation for that to happen the other day. Let's all get in the room and let's just talk about it. Because me going over here and talking and over here and telling you she said and he said that, And that's how division keeps working between us, because nobody is offering the clarity, because we like it. We like drama. We like gossip. We like all of that. And they serve as distractions because they keep us from getting the real work done and from keeping the main thing. So yes. If we're going to have real talk, put everybody in the room. And now, not only do you put everybody in the room so we can get clarity, you also see who the liar is. And that's why you don't want to come to the room, because we're finna expose you, boo. Somebody said, who going to check me, boo? I'm going to check you, boo. I can hear Takia saying, I'm going to check you, boo. Yeah, let's get everybody in the room. And that's what Johnny Taylor says. Everything's out in the open. There's nowhere else for us to hide. And so, wait a minute. So Lo says, I agree with you, Miss Denise. However, the system uses the differences to keep up division. I agree with you, Miss Denise. However, the system uses the differences to keep up division. Oh my goodness, Lo, I'm loving you and your segues. Yes. And so that brings us now. I had to think about where this came from. Let's talk about the source for most of us. Now, if you don't know nothing about the Bible and you didn't grow up in the church, and then you have a different conversation, and I would love to have that with you. I would love to hear your perspective. Me and Jesse just said we were going to sit down because he gave me a perspective about his daddy. I'm like, oh, can we talk about this some more? He's like, yes, I don't have a problem with that. But this is for those of us who are cradle Christians, those of us are Christians, the Bible, even if you're not a Christian, but you know the Bible. So that brings us to now. When you say, well, the black woman is emasculating the black man. You say, well, what is emasculation, first of all? Let's make sure, again, let's level set. Now, of course, I don't want to say of course. If we're talking about in the physical, emasculation is like, when you castration. Castration, that's what in the physical sense. But when we talk about it in a socialized way, then emasculation is when anybody makes anybody. When we're talking about women and men, particularly black women and black men, is when you make somebody feel, your behavior, your speech, your words, your actions, you make somebody feel like they are incompetent. You make somebody feel like they are inferior. You make somebody feel like they are worthless. You make somebody feel like they have no value. And you do it in a way that also simultaneously implies that you have all of that they don't have. You don't have value, but baby, I do. You don't have worth, but baby, I do. You are inferior, but I'm not. You are all of the things that make you less than, and I am all of the things that make me more than you. And so that's what emasculation is. That's the definition that I'm using for this conversation. And so when Lo says they use the system uses the difference. Yes, the system is using both of us. The system is using men. The system is using women. The system is using black men and black women as tools to divide us against each other. Because the black woman, if you look, okay, let me just talk about myself because I don't want nobody to say you said this about me. Let me just talk about myself. When you think about the fact, oh my goodness, somebody told me that. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing focus. When you look at me, you say, oh my goodness, how many degrees does she have? Somebody says, oh, she has 4 degrees. Oh, she does. Yes. 1 bachelor, 2 masters, and 1 doctorate. Yeah. You say, oh, she got a home. So she doing all this by herself. Look at her. She don't need a man. You don't need a man because you can do this all by yourself. That's what the system says, right? Because look at you. Okay, I guess now I'm gonna say, well, once I was on the bottom, but now look at me, I'm on the top. And so now I feel some kind of way about being this Black woman that's holding it down all by herself. So if you want to step to me, you can, but I'm gonna need you to step to me correct. I'm gonna need you to step to me and let me know what you got on the table. Like this is what's going through the head. This is what's implanted. This is what the indoctrination. This is what the interpret. This is what the lie, the myth is. This is the narrative that's going through your head. Because baby, if you want me, you're gonna have to have blah 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 blah. All right. So the system is using me because the system has given me access to more opportunity as a Black woman than it has the Black man. Because if we want to talk about how the system is against the Black man, things that happen to the Black man also happen to the Black women, yes, but there's a discrepancy. It happens at a far more frequent rate than for Black men than it does for Black. When you talk about mass incarceration, you have to talk about the numbers for Black women being on the rise. But when you talk about the numbers for Black men, it has exploded exponentially. And so when you talk about Black men being surveilled from the time that they are 8, right now they build prisons based on the 3rd grade reading levels of Black boys. So they say, oh, we looking at them in the 3rd grade, so we know we need 3,000 more beds over here. So because there is a school to prison pipeline that targets Black men, but other people get caught up in it, but the target is Black men. So by the time they are 15, 16, 18, they've already been to jail for something. And most of the time it's nothing because they still had those same laws on the book, like jaywalking and being too many Black folks at one time, like all of that. And so the Black man is destined. If you meet a Black man who ain't never had any entanglements with the law, I'm going to be like, what? Like, what? And so you say, okay, well, it really would be for me as living in this country, it wouldn't be difficult for me to understand that I'm meeting a man who is formerly incarcerated. Now, if I'm on the top as this Black woman who's had access to all of these things, what am I going to do? The world tells me, girl, look down on him. He can't be no good because he's been in jail. That's what we say. So here, the division continues. And so the Black man is like, wait, first of all, don't judge me based on one incident in my life. And secondly, do you even know whether or not I'm guilty? Because you do know that we go to jail even if we not guilty, right? You do know that. Like, we ain't even trying to have that happens. And then those people who are formerly incarcerated, look at what they face. We're talking about Black men in particular. Look at what they face when they come out. You can't get no job. You can't vote. You can't get housing. And you can't even live with somebody else who has been formerly incarcerated. Like, all this control. You can't get benefits like SNAP. Well, like you get nothing. So, Miss Ma'am, Miss Good Ma'am, Miss Good Black woman that's on the top. What do you expect what do you expect from me? And then we're gonna be like, oh, it ain't my fault you went to jail, and it's not his fault either in the system that we live in. Now, I am not absolving all Black people from going to jail. Yes, plenty of us are guilty. Plenty of us are guilty, and we are right where we belong. But we're talking about systemic use of these weapons, these tools to divide us. And so the system continues to give Black women opportunity to gain more, to earn more, to get more, to be more, while also resisting, positioning Black men to not be able to do that, all those same things in the same way. And this man that I just asked out, I asked him out. He said, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I asked him. Look, I ain't waiting on nobody to step. I asked him out. But anyway, one day we were talking and he said, but you know what, Denise, like, that's what y'all do all the time. Every time you want to talk about Black men, y'all talk about, the one that's in jail. You talk about the thug. You talk about the homie. You talk about him. He said, but what about me? I ain't never been to jail. And most of y'all still don't want me. I said, why wouldn't we want? What you talking about? He said, yeah, because y'all want somebody that's going to snatch you up. Y'all want somebody that's going to call you out, y'all. Y'all want somebody that's going to talk to you any kind of way, because that's what y'all believe is love. And so for me to be a person who does not do all that, to be a person who does not show up flexing, to be a person who's a man, a black man who does not suffer from toxic masculinity, you write me off. So on one side of your mouth, you say, he been in jail, I don't want him. But on the other side of the mouth, you say, well, I don't want him because he ain't tough enough. So what are you really saying, black women? So I told him I was gonna have to get back with him. I'm gonna have to get back with you on that. No, we talked about it some more. I wanted to bring that in because I did not want the conversation to just be about black men who are incarcerated, but that this idea as black women that we are now in a position to be more than, better than, all independent and don't need a man. That is not true because we were created for a community. Listen to what the Bible says. Let's go back to Adam and Eve. So after they eat of the fruit, God, of course, God knows. God slow walks them down. I was running from my call when I first got called to ministry. I announced my call in Mississippi, but I didn't live into it until I got to Florida. And somebody told me, the pastor, he said, "Okay, you can run, Jonette. You can run, but God is gonna slow walk you down." So. God, meaning that you can do whatever you want to do. God, in God's time, God gonna get you right where God wants you. So God slow walks Adam and Eve down, and they have a conversation. Because remember, the Bible said, "Come, let us reason together." So God said, "Let's talk about this. Like, what y'all doing?" And so Adam go to, whining. Adam go to whining and lying, talking about the woman made him do. She's just offered it to you, sir, and you felt compelled, and that's why you did. Just like now, women can offer you some. Some of y'all married, and another woman offer you some, and you just cannot resist. I mean, it's just, listen. We just what did Johnny Taylor say? Everything. Let's just stop hiding stuff. So God says, well, there are always consequences and repercussions for whatever you do. So let's talk about what's about to happen now since you disobeyed me. Let's talk about what's about to happen now. So it talks about how you, Adam, you man, you black man, you all man, you're supposed to work. And you're supposed to work hard. I'm talking about you're supposed to be sweating hard, callus all on your hand. Like you're supposed to be tired, your back's supposed to be hurt. Like you got to work hard now. You got to till this soil. You're going to have to work hard. I put you in paradise, but now you done turned it into hell, and that's on you, boo. I'm gonna be with you though every step of the way, but this is your consequence. Says to the snake. So now you're gonna have to be on your belly. You no longer can walk upright. You're gonna have to be on your belly. That's your punishment. It's another part to that, but first let me say Eve, and then I'll come back to the snake. Eve, your punishment is that you will have even more labor pains when you deliver. So those of you who have children, it was already going to be painful. I mean, just because of the biology of it, but it's going to be even more painful. That's why people be asking for it. Give me this epidural. Some people are like, no, I'm going to have a natural birth. And baby, them contractions start here. You're like, no, give me the epidural. I need a shot. I'm not mad at you. Do what you have to do to bring these beautiful little babies into the world. I love me some babies. And then the Bible also says to Eve, and your desire will always be for your husband. And so for those of us black women who the world continues to tell us, the system continues to position us with more, to be more, and then implanting in us this idea that we don't need a man. The truth of the matter is that we may not need one, but we want one. And some of us, even though we have degrees, we have houses, we have cars, we have whatever it is that we thought we want. We got red bottom shoes, we got Gucci, we got Louis, whatever it is we want. We got everything we want, but we still do not believe we are complete until God sends that partner. And that's rooted in the narrative that's sourced in this story. Now, do I believe God said that? No, but I'm telling you about the story. We're talking about the story of the Bible that y'all believe. I ain't talking about what God meant. That's another conversation. I'm talking about the lies that we have been told about what God meant. So now you got all you want out of life. So I have friends to this day that every time I go over their house, we got to talk about the prayer. We got to talk about the vision board. We got to talk about what we not doing right. Why hasn't God sent me my husband? Like, look, I'm going to have to stop coming over here because I can't keep having this conversation. You don't need no husband to be complete, but that's according to the way we have been indoctrinated about this story. Yes, Miss Good Ma'am. Yes, Miss Good Ma'am. You ain't going to feel complete until you have this man in your life. That's going back to what happened with the fruit. And then what does the Bible, let me give you the rest of the part from the snake. So now you're not going to be able to walk upright. You are going to have to crawl on your belly. And then it also says that your head, talking about the serpent. Your head will bruise the human's feet. Adam and Eve, your head, talking to the snake. Not only will you have to lie on your belly, but now your head will bruise their feet. What does that mean? That means that you, as humans, have authority over the snake that y'all call the devil. So all this talk that we got in this world about the devil made me do it, and I know the devil on my trail, all this power you giving to the devil who is under your feet. So all you got to do is stomp your foot in the name of your God and be free. And you around here talking like, well, you know, girl, I don't know. I must be doing something right because the devil. Oh my goodness. If we gonna live by the lie, at least live fully into the lie. Ain't no reason you should be walking around here talking about you scared of the devil, and I know the devil is real, and I know he doing it. According to the story, you got the power over the devil. Just use it. And so because we live this lie about what man's supposed to do. You're supposed to be the head, and I'm supposed to be your help me, and you're supposed to be the head of the household. I'm supposed to submit to you, and you just got to love me. You ain't got to submit. All of these are systemic lies that are rooted in patriarchy, sexism, and genderism. And God is using both. The system is using both of us against each other. So all of us are being used. So yes, I do believe that some Black women are emasculating Black men. And I also believe that some Black men are not holding yourself accountable. You don't know, you need to raise up. And I'm not talking about a toxic masculinity. I'm not talking about hitting nobody, because you better not lay your hands on me. You better not call me out my name. I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is, because the woman make more money than you, now you feel like you can't make no decisions in the house. Like, where they do that at? In a house where a Black woman is emasculating you. Yes, I know that's where they do it at, but they ain't got to. My dad ain't never made more money than my mama. He ain't never had more degrees than my mama, but I bet you he didn't hesitate. I bet you he didn't hesitate in his house, because the house is not about hierarchy. The house is not about power. The house is about communion. The house is about partnership. Y'all are supposed to be working together. Listen, this is what Johnny Taylor said. Once upon a time, we were a unit. We are together in this. Let's help each other. Where I'm strong, you weak. Let's work together. I don't owe you nothing because you're the man. You don't owe me nothing just because I'm the woman. We in this thing together. Here's what Lowe says. The white man, the system's greatest fear is the destruction of their gene pool by Black men and Black. The white man, the system's greatest fear is the destruction of their gene pool by Black men and Black women. What that made me think about, I don't know if this is what you meant, but what that made me think about is interracial dating. You know, Black people, white people, especially white men, they have a fit if they find out that they white daughter is looking for what they call a man. They're not looking for, gonna find. I'm talking about ain't gonna rest till she find. They can't, the thoughts of this, your white daughter, the thought of her being with her, drives you crazy, drives you mad. That's what I thought about. So here is Takia. I am not sitting around figuring out what we aren't doing right. My friends and I are celebrating New Year by acknowledging and celebrating our wins. We've had enough of the vision boards and problem solving and being overwhelmed with what is being done wrong. Okay, let me say this right. Okay, because I'm reading it for the first time. Let me read it again, because this is the second time. I am not sitting around figuring out what we aren't doing right. My friends and I are celebrating the quote unquote New Year by acknowledging and celebrating our wins. We've had enough of the vision boards and problem solving and being overwhelmed with what is being done wrong. Takia, you've been on this trip, and you got me on this journey about negativity, about bias. All we want to talk about is what we ain't doing. All people want to do is critique us. You ought to be doing this. You ought to be doing. I was listening to you, and you said that. Okay, well, let's talk about it, because Takia got me thinking about Peter on the walking on the water. Everybody talking about don't be like Peter, because he took his eyes off God and he lost faith and he started to drown. He started to sink. But what about the fact that he walked on water? Can we celebrate that for a minute? Peter is the only man written in the Bible that can say, I'm just like Jesus in this respect. Both of us, we the only ones that walked on water. Let's talk about, can we not call that a win and celebrate it? And so when we have this conversation about, is it true that we have division between Again, genders, period. Yes, particularly Black men and Black women. Yes, because we both being used. And until we are willing to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, shame on you. Look at yourself in the mirror. Shame on you for allowing you to feel this way about the member of your unit, about your Adam that was created in your paradise, and you as Adam's Eve together as partnership. We can still have what we were intended to have if we just stop living somebody else's lie and be open about it. Let's talk about it. Let's be real about it and stop hiding and stop pretending. Thank you, Johnny Taylor. I love that. You've been listening to The Workplace right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. And Lo, on our way out, says, take things in their totality. Take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let's focus a little more, says Sakia, on the good. You have been listening to The Workplace. We are the voice of the people right here at 2101 South Main Street in Little Rock. Anytime you in the area, you can stop by. You can stop by and see the station. You can stop by and do and just take a tour. Whatever you want to do, know that we are here for you always. Thank you so much. You're coming. What's up next? What's up next, y'all? But here it comes right now on KABF.